Amos chapter 5. Babylon the Great is about to fall. Okay? This is talking about the day of the Lord, which is Babylon the Great falls. When Babylon the Great falls, the hour of God's judgment is also the day of the Lord. That's why the Bible says Jesus, it's the sixth seal. And it's Jesus who pulls that seal. And it's the day, the hour of God's judgment is also when the sign of the coming of the Son of Man will be seen in the sky and all the nations will mourn. It's also Revelation chapter 3 verse 10, the hour of trial that is going to come upon the whole earth. But I'm in Amos chapter 5. Woe to you who long for the day of the Lord. In other words, you think you want this to happen? There's some people who are like, man, I'm tired of my life. I'm tired of this. I really want God to be first. And you're like, I want the day of the Lord. Others don't understand what the day of the Lord is. They think, oh, it's the day of the Lord. That's the rapture. The day of the Lord, that's the day that Jesus returns and reigns from Jerusalem. You don't know what the day of the Lord is. Woe to you who long for the day of the Lord. Why do you long for the day of the Lord? That's a good question. Why do you want the day of the Lord? You obviously don't realize that that's the day Babylon the Great falls. It's a worldwide nuclear strike. You think it's something that it's not. People who think, oh, I can't wait for the day of the Lord. You don't know what you're talking about. If you think the day of the Lord is the rapture, no, it's not. That day will be darkness, not light. It will be as though a man fled from a lion only to meet a bear. Okay, first take that whole darkness part. It is what it is. That day will be darkness, not light. But let's focus on the next verse. Fled from a lion only to meet a bear. You know what? All those backsliding, disobedient Christians are fleeing from the Lion of Judah. They're trying to get away from obeying God. There's even people out there who teach disobedience. How do they teach disobedience? You know what it is? When they tell you, oh, we're saved not by works, but only by grace. Did you know that teaching that you're saved only by grace and not by works, that you're teaching disobedience, and if you follow their teaching, they'll basically tell you, you never have to do anything for God. And so they're teaching that anytime you go to them and say, well, the Lord told me to pay my tithe and give my offering. Well, you're not saved by that, brother. Yeah, you don't have to do that. We're saved by grace. If somebody goes to Africa to be a missionary because the Lord told them to go, they'll tell them, oh, that's works, brother. No, faith without works is dead. And anybody who says they're saved and has no works in their life, you're a liar. Because anybody who's serving God is going to obey God, and there's going to be good fruit from it. And there's going to be works. But look, you flee from a lion only to meet a bear. I'm sorry, folks, but that bear, that's Russia, folks. As though he entered his house and rested his hand on the wall only to have a snake bite him. Will not the day of the Lord be darkness, not light, pitch dark without a ray of brightness? And then it goes on to say, I despise your religious feasts. I cannot stand your assemblies. Let me rephrase this. I despise your barbecues after church while you watch the game. I cannot stand your assemblies of God, churchianity. Even though you bring burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, I will have no regard for them. In other words, when the day of the Lord comes and Babylon the Great falls and all hell's breaking loose, all of a sudden you're going to want to bring your offering to the Lord. Oh, Lord, here's my offering. All of a sudden you're going to say, oh, all that disobedience for the last 25 years in my walk with God, I'm going to go back and start obeying God now. In other words, when all hell finally breaks loose in your life, you finally realize, oh, okay, I guess I better obey God. Oh, or some are going to say, that's my works, brother. Even in the midst of that? Is that what you're going to say? Listen, the point is this. Here's my point. You fled from a lion only to meet a bear. You ran into your house only to put your hand on the wall to be bit by a snake. In other words, after Babylon the Great falls, there's going to be a lot of survivors. I can tell you, if you live in downtown New York, you'll probably be vaporized. If you live in Los Angeles or Southern California, if you're not hit directly by by the actual shockwave or the heat blast, most likely you'll inhale some of that radioactive fallout. I mean, there's going to be people who die quickly. Then there's the people who survive. And if you're in Los Angeles, it might not be too long because there's going to be no water. How are you going to survive in Los Angeles after a nuclear strike? And then you're going to be hoping that help is on the way. Not knowing that every major city in the country has just been hit. And there's no resources to help everyone. Hardly any resources to help have been destroyed. So people, I think, are going to walk around going, where's the help? Where's the Coast Guard going to come and rescue us? I'm just saying. But after Babylon the Great falls, those of you who come crawling out of your hiding place, come crawling out of the basement, come crawling out of the fallout shelter, you're going to find a time of no wind, and guess what? The mark of the beast is going to come out next. So, in a sense, once Babylon the Great falls, that means that the beast has risen up and has taken over. You don't get it. The beast, the 7 heads and 10 horns, the Antichrist, the government of the Antichrist is what destroys Babylon the Great. After Babylon the Great is destroyed, there's a bunch of people going to be saying, oh, well, we survived. We weren't in Los Angeles. Oh, we saw it on the news. People in some Midwest town in the middle of nowhere, you might only have felt a little bit of rumbling, might not have even seen a flash, might not even know it happened except for that it was on the news. I doubt that. I think everybody would see some sort of effect of it, but I don't know. But the point is, when it happens, mark your calendar and see how many days before the mark of the beast comes out. And then when the mark of the beast first comes out, see how long before it permeates society. In other words, if the Antichrist took over right now, today, February 22nd or 23rd, 2016, and the first person got it today, and let's say, how long would it be before it spreads from, let's just say, from the very tip corner of Maine? Let's say the first person to get it lives way down in the southeastmost corner of Miami, of Florida. Let's just start in that far corner. The first person is, the mark of the beast has officially come out. How long before that is enforced on the other side of the country, at the very far tip of Washington, or down there in San Diego, or, you understand what I'm saying? It's going to take a while. But once that mark of the beast has come out, I'm just saying, people are all worried about Babylon the Great falling, and yeah, it's going to be crazy. And I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen literally this week. Like I said, before 3:30. It's going to happen before 3:30 on the 22nd, on the 28th. I don't know. I wish I knew. All I know is last night I just started crying in travail over people that I know that I know I'm never going to see again. And I can't exactly call them up and tell them, hey, guess what? There's going to be nuclear attack. The world's going to change and y'all are going to die. I love you. This is our last conversation, by the way. Can't do that. I've been warning everybody in my family, and they think I'm crazy. I'm starting to think I'm crazy. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for the fact that there's a whole lot of other people who are equally crazy or hearing from God. In other words, all the people who are hearing from God and having dreams and visions, and I'm just one of them. So thank God for that. If I was the only one, I would definitely be seeking like medical attention. Okay? But I'm not the only one. And if you look at everything, if you take all the different prophecies, all the visions and revelations that people are having, now some people are wacky and they tell you their vision and then they'll try to interpret it and they're wrong. Like one girl, she clearly had a vision in her dream. One, there was a nuclear strike. She saw nuclear fallout. Then there was persecution and the mark of the beast came out. Then she got raptured up. And then the very next day, she's telling people that she believes that the rapture is going to happen before the mark of the beast. She clearly didn't even understand the own vision and revelation that God gave her. And when you look at Revelation chapter 14, verse 6, you see the timeline sequence of events. So I'm just saying, the mark of the Babylon the Great is going to fall, then the mark of the beast is going to come out, and then there's going to be great persecution, a great falling away. You will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and at that time many will turn away from the faith and betray and hate each other. Every word will come to pass exactly as is written in God's word, and there's a bunch of fools out there who are going to say, well, we're raptured up before any of that happens, and all that happens to a different group of Christians. Are you kidding me? Why don't you rewrite the Bible?